Well, hello. Welcome back to the Hotel Orloff here in scenic Rural Retreat, Virginia. I was down and went through a hole in the basement, and it turns out there's a whole complex of tunnels underneath the Hotel Orloff that go for quite a ways, possibly Tartarian in origin. And, I found a wooden crate down there. Let me get set up. Found a wooden crate down in these tunnels, and it turned out I found about $40,000 in Golden Age comics down in the tunnels. So I'll show you some of those now. Big major find, historic find in the history of comic book collecting. Let's see what we got here. I'll show you the highlights of, first of all, hold on a moment. Okay. I'm back. So how have you guys been doing? Wonderfully, I hope. Let's switch channels. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, started the Grotu Army. Kind of like the Kiss Army, only better. And people that were longtime viewers signed up, and I issued them their serial number and their rank in the Grotu Army. And I can't, it's here somewhere, but I can't find the black book that I wrote everybody's new name in. Everyone's last name was Orloff. And I came up with a new name for you, so you had a new moniker. Anyway, I can't find that, but there's an episode where I read everybody's name and everybody's new Grotu Army name, and I gotta if you know what episode that is and can tell me in the comments down below, I'd appreciate it. If otherwise, I'll have to find it, because then I'll have to we got to keep this Grotu Army going. We've got to stick together, ladies and gentlemen. The next few months, possibly 6 months, are going to be historically horrible. I mean, just beyond belief horrible, and we need to stick together. And all of us need to be doing YouTube programs to kind of reach out to each other, and I hope that you guys will overcome your shyness and do your own shows and provide. Oh shoot, that's the wrong channel. So yeah. How do things start in language? Who was the first person, instead of saying or they started saying so yeah? Who started it? There had to have been one person somewhere that started this annoying trend. You're kidding me. Oh, there it is. I'm looking for a Roku app, and it seems to have moved to a different spot. Not good. Okay. Well, this light is not working for me, man. Okay, so comic books, $40,000, estimated $40,000 of comics found in the tunnels. Why there are tunnels under the Hotel Orloff, I don't know. It wasn't, could have been part of the Underground Railroad. It could, back in the 1850s and 60s, it could have been, I don't know. There's no telling. But let's see what we got here. Here's one comic I found. Wild Bill Hickok.
It truly is an honor and privilege to be here with you. We think we live in a free country, but the tyrants would have some other way.
I need my magnifying glass, ladies and gentlemen. We're going upstairs and get our magnifying glass. We were in the middle of a room tour, and I'll get back to that in the next video. Tomorrow, I'm also, it's the last time I've been doing the Four Color Fossils show, hosting it for 4 or 5 weeks, I don't know. The graphic man's pretty much back in great health, so he'll be taking back over next week. And so right now, tomorrow will be the last day that I host it, and he'll be back on the 13th, Wednesday the 13th. So stop by this channel tomorrow night, and you'll get to see a bunch of intellectual comic book connoisseurs and historians wax nostalgic and poetic about the comic books that entertained them when they were small children and juvenile delinquents. All right, here is my magnifying glass up here in the comic book room. So, and while you're at it, subscribe to this channel, like this video, and ring that bell so you'll get notifications whenever I put up videos, which will be increasingly sparse over the next few weeks, because I'll be working more and having less time to fritter away my hours showing you thousands of dollars of comic books that were found in the sewer system. Or no, it wasn't a sewer system, it was just a complex of tunnels, a labyrinthine complex of tunnels. How about that? What? Where did I? Okay, this is Wild Bill Hickok, number 7. From May of 1951, Volume 1, Number 7, from Avon Periodicals. That light is too bright, man. Ugh, I hate this light. Well, all right, so Wild Bill Hickok, number 7. I'm sorry, Wild Bill Hickok and the Outlaws of Hell's Bend. Come on over to Royal Crown Cola. No, come on over, reckoned the blonde in room 307 on the back of a children's comic. They're advertising a whole library of mystery novels. Ads like that may not have bode well for the comic industry. This is obviously before the Comics Code came along. Comics Code, what is the Comics Code, you ask? Well, comics had a code like this put on them in 1955 that means this comic is nothing offensive in it. Well, you can get your own harmonica. Look at that. Makes any auto repair your meat. Yeah, sometimes you read these old books, you pick up on jargon from the past and the way people talked back then. You can really learn a lot reading Mickey Spillane books. You can learn how tough guys talked back in the 40s and 50s. This comic's in pretty good shape, you know, white pages and everything. Being down in the tunnel system below the Hotel Orloff has kept it in wonderful condition. Oh, it's got one of these little statements from the publisher on they would have to do this every so often. It tells the circulation. Where is my magnifying glass? Where? Oh, here it is. Hello, comic book community. Let's see what we got here. What is it saying? Man, I don't know. Hard to read. Look at this guy, man. Wild Bill Hickok has long, flowing blonde hair like Thor. Very Viking-looking fellow. The lettering in this looks very EC-like. The lettering in EC was done by a couple. A husband and wife team did the lettering in EC. Bill Gaines didn't like it. Nobody liked the lettering. But Bill Gaines inherited that company from his father, who died in a ski boat. He was skiing, his boat crashed, right? And he's the guy that basically started the comic book industry in the 30s. William Gaines' father, Max Gaines. And he's the guy that, published Wonder Woman. And anyway, so William Gaines inherited his father's comic book empire. Had no interest in comics, but he started making horror and science fiction comics, and later a humor comic that kept going. Well, it's still being published today, sort of, Mad. But anyway, so he inherited his father had used this couple that lettered the comics, and he didn't want to put them out of a job. He was too nice a guy, so he kept them on, even though a lot of people thought the lettering wasn't very attractive in those EC comics. But, Harvey Kurtzman wouldn't even use the couple, and he edited, he was behind the war titles and the, and Mad, and so he didn't like that letter. He had hand-done lettering. Okay, so America's greatest gunfighter. There he is there.
Now, because for the 42 million Americans who are asymptomatic carriers of HIV and SARS-CoV-2 and other
Hold on a second.
MRVs, other manufactured mouse, monkey, and human viruses.
Oh, look at this. It's Casper, the friendly ghost. It's Casper's 60th anniversary, or was when this came out. Where did my magnifying? Dark Horse put this out. So this is a more recent book. So I guess people have been down in that tunnel. Some comic collectors, members of the comic book community, have been down in my complex of dungeon-like tunnels and leaving comics behind. Man, it's a first printing, ladies and gentlemen. From 2009, reprinting, I guess, the first issues of Casper. Darn this light. This ring light is too bright, man. It's as bright as 1,000 suns. Hey, look at this bike that Santa left us. Here in the Hotel Orloff, Christmas isn't once a year. It's every Saturday night. Santa Claus brings presents. So we have a lot of Christmases here. So we never take the tree down. Or the Halloween decorations. Why take Halloween decorations down? What kind of a maniac would do that? It even has the ads printed in here. I don't know, this book might still be available on Amazon.com. Could be. Look, you can tell why you like... Dang, this light. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this light is... I'm going to move this light as far away as possible. Well, I did a room tour. Every time I do a room tour, everyone says they love it. in the comments, but nobody really watches. I get about half the views I would on a normal video. Yes, indeed. Casper, the Friendly Ghost, 60th anniversary special, ladies and gentlemen. All right, fantastic. Gosh darn. How are you guys doing today? Yeah, we're going to get that Grotu Army back up and going, ladies and gentlemen. So if you didn't join the Grotu Army and you want to join it, you let me know down in the comments below. Why, look, it's Rawhide. There are not a lot of comic books that have Clint Eastwood on the cover. Just so you know. And this is one of them. Oh, stop with the copyrighted music, please. Okay, speaking of Christmas, my Christmas gift to you is training in marksmanship and in safe handling of all guns. Dad, a real daisy. Look at that. Please shut up with this horrible music. What is this band so I know what to hate? All I can have you say life is full of pain. Horrible, crappy music. Why are you doing this, Owen Schroyer? Owen Schroyer comes on after AJ, but he's playing some bad music. But that's because he's young. He doesn't have the experience and knowledge to know that that's a crummy song that only a moron would like. Yes, indeed. There were never any Dirty Harry comics. As far as I know, the Rawhide, how many? I don't know. Probably only Rawhide. When else would Clint Eastwood have been on the front of a comic book? What other movies that weren't, man, imagine if there were Man with No Name comic books based on his spaghetti westerns. That would have been great. Let's see how they draw him in here. Oh, yes, Rawhide. Where's Clint Eastwood, man?
Media, specifically for individuals in the media that have a large
Yeah.
presence, a large media.
They don't really capture a really great likeness of Clint Eastwood in the interior art. But,
So when you reach a
not really.
certain intellectual skills and analysis starts to kick in.
Oh, well, you could probably tell which one's Clint Eastwood by the name they call him. You know, Rowdy. When is this from? I would guess it's from about 1961, wouldn't you? There's the indicia. I am right. February, April 1961. It's 4-color number 1160. So how many issues of Rawhide they did, I do not know, but that's one of them. I have Clint Eastwood comics, I have John Wayne comics, and now I need to get some Buster Crabbe comics. Alrighty. What else can we look at? Oh my goodness. It's Star Trek. 25-cent era would denote that this is a comic from about, what, 1975 or so? 76 possibly. It's, oh my gosh. Imagine if the Star Trek episode looks like that, where Kirk is like Tarzan throwing a rock at a Triffid-looking creature. It is July 1974, one of the first of the 25-cent comics. Oh, look at all these wonderful patches you could have gotten back in the 70s. You could have been a really... You... This is my favorite adaptation of Star Trek in comic book form, is the Gold Key version. Later, when the movie came out in 1979, Marvel got a hold of the Star Trek license to do comics, and it was not as good. And then DC got it, and you know, but this comic actually started while Star Trek was still on the air. Well, by '74, it had been off the air for 5 years. But look at this cover, this wonderful George Wilson art. My goodness. Oh, I thought it was torn. It's actually a folded page. Who would do that? What kind of... Actually, this was done. This is a printing error. Look, this is actually folded behind. How the heck did that happen? Oh, it also affects the interior page, but I didn't notice it. That's not really something I can correct without tearing the page. Well, I mean, I guess I could take the staples out and put them back in, but that's not going to happen. Yes, indeed. Notice the resemblance to Michael Myers in Halloween. Of course, you know why that is. Michael Myers was wearing a James Kirk Star Trek mask that they just painted white. Look at these patches. Help, I need lovin'. Cobra. Look at all this wonderful stuff. The Ankh, so you could escape the Dome City. STP. There's even Flash Gordon. It's amazing. Star Trek. What else do we have here? Hey, this is a fake comic. This is one of those facsimiles. I've already opened it, but it has a special seal, so you can tell if someone's already opened it. It's these are being done by PS Art Books, Roy Thomas's company, and they call them facsimiles. I call them fake. They did these kind of things in the 70s. They reprinted Captain Marvel and some comics that basically no one could afford in the 70s, but the interior was black and white, looked like photocopies. So let's see what, in today's modern digital age, a facsimile of a comic that you could never afford. I mean, some of you might. Some of you are wealthy out there in the comic book community. We aren't here in Virginia, especially not in the Biden era. You know, they shut the coal mine down, and now we're all struggling to eat. This is what a fake Captain Marvel Jr. number 4. That's weird. February 19th. You don't see that very often. But look at that beautiful I keep hearing idiots mispronounce it so much now I don't remember how it's supposed to be pronounced. Macroboy. Yeah, Macroboy. That's how I always... I've never actually heard people pronounce it until recently. I've always just read the name. And it's like, okay, Macroboy. That must be how it's pronounced. Now I hear people pronouncing it all these weird ways. I don't know, man. How do I know? Comic book collectors traditionally have been lonely individuals living in basements. We don't hear we don't hear other people pronounce these names unless you hang out at a comic convention or something. Anyway, great artist. This is where Elvis Presley got his look from. This character. This was his favorite character. He might have read this issue. This is a very iconic, there's that word, iconic, cover. Yeah, it looks nice. They've got all the ads. There's no obnoxious UPC code that immediately distances you from the past. It looks pretty good. It's in color. There are problems like this ad is obviously maybe blown up from a JPEG that's not the best. You see the writing is a little, it's not super clear. But I don't know, I've never held this original comic in my hands. Maybe that's how it was originally printed. Some of the pages look better than others as far as grain. I'm sure they cleaned it up as much as they could. Scanning it from an original comic, this is the best way you're going to read this comic, unless you actually have the money to buy it. And the people that buy it, they have it sealed in plastic, you know, which is not gonna. That plastic's not gonna last through. Oh well, we won't mention what. Things that could happen to you, like in Hawaii or Hiroshima, where the plastic won't protect the comic too well. Anyway, there's a lot of talk about that in the news lately. Things like that might happen. This is definitely from World War II era. Let's look in the indicia, which I think I used to pronounce indicia. I don't know how I used to pronounce it. And I didn't know how to pronounce it. I knew what it was called, how to spell it. I knew the word. I just didn't know how to pronounce it. Harry Truman said, I think it was Harry Truman. Well, Harry Truman always mispronounced words because he grew up in a little farm community. Nobody around him read books. He was the only one that was going to the library and reading all of Plutarch's lives. And so he was a very intelligent man, but he didn't know it. He knew the words, he knew what they meant, but he didn't necessarily know how to pronounce them because he never heard them pronounced. So people would make fun of him, you know how they like to do that. But I'll tell you, you know, the sign of a really cool person is when they use big words and they mispronounce them, because that means that they learn to read by reading. Now there's some morons like Biden, and he's got like 4 or 5 big words he knows, like hyperbole. It's not hyperbole. He's got about 4 or 5 words. He'll pull them out, and it's like, wow, this guy's intelligent. He said the word hyperbole. Well, I heard the teacher say that word one time, but I don't remember what it means. February 19th, 1943. Yeah, Those were the days, my friend. We thought they'd never end, the 1940s. Boy, the way Glenn Miller played. Songs that made the hit parade. Guys like us, we had it made. Those were the days, and you knew who you were then. Girls were girls and men were men. Boy, mister, we could use a man like Herbert Hoover again. Didn't need no welfare state. Everybody pulled his weight. Gee, my old LaSalle ran great. Here's Dale Evans, Queen of the Westerns. This is the one I wanted. I let Jambo get all the Dale Evans comics, but I said that one with her on the cover holding the gun with that smile, looking like Jane Russell. It's like I let me have that one. And he was nice enough to say, yeah, of course. You know, it's just like that one's great. And I have at least one Dale Evans DC book that it has no cover. And the artwork inside was great. And so I thought, well, at least I could have one Dale Evans. And that's just so great. And, you know, of course, Roy Rogers and Dale Evans were wonderful Christian people and were and she's America's favorite cowgirl movie star. But what's weird is at one point, Roy Rogers and Dale Evans, their comics came out from the same company, but then Dale Evans went to DC, and she was with a different, 52 big pages. You can get a Navajo treasure ring. Oh, from, you only have to send 10 cents from Peter Pan. Okay, so when is this from? It says July, August on the cover. I'm going to guess Ooh, that's weird. Notice there's no
Research has never been released. So will you demand that the vaccine companies
comics code symbol.
release their vaccine
So this might be pre-code.
so that we can see what they're actually
See, it was still National Comics. DC, the name of the company was National Comics. DC stood for Detective Comics. Now it's no longer called National. That went away in the 60s. I'm going to guess 53. What do you guys think? Oh shoot, it's July, August 1950. Look at this, man. She's riding in a... Oh, that's great. Oh, look. There's the real Grizzly Adams there. There was a TV series about 25 years later, but that's the real Grizzly. There was a real Grizzly Adams. He was like a Davy Crockett, Daniel Boone kind of real TV show that was based on a real guy. How about that? Very good artwork. Very DC looking. These comics being found in a sewer system, in a tunnel complex, are in incredible condition. State Fair fraud. 1950, only 5 years after the end of World War II. My father was in college when this comic came out. Amazing. Okay, so in 1955, the Comics Code came out, and at first it was really big on the cover because the comic book industry was in trouble. A psychiatrist named Frederick Wortham put all these articles in Ladies' Home Journal and all these magazines that women read, and articles saying that reading these comic books will turn your child into a juvenile delinquent, a criminal, a beast, a foul miscreant. And so there was a Senate subcommittee. They pulled artists, and they pulled William Gaines, the guy behind EC Comics I was talking about a little bit ago, in front of the Senate subcommittee. And the comic book industry said, hey, we're about to be brought under, so we'll start a self-regulating board, and it will prevent us from going under. And so, anyway, this is an Archie comic. It's probably right from 1955. I'm going to guess October 55. It says October on the front cover. I'm right. It is October 55. Look, if you draw Bob Hope, you can get free art lessons. Later, it was always drawing a donkey or something. 1955, man. This was when rock and roll first started. Elvis was a brand new recording artist. Rock and roll hit right at the beginning of 1955. And comic books and rock and roll are intertwined. And if you don't realize, if you're just collecting comics and not old rock and roll records, I don't know. To me, you're a strange person. You know who had a great collection of Archie comics was, what's his face? Brian Setzer, the lead guy of the Stray Cats. Look at that. When toy guns looked... $6.50 was a lot of money, ladies and gentlemen, in 1955. What does this gun do exactly? Trumatic machine gun. Turn the crank and mow the enemy down. Looks real, sounds real, and it shoots. Realistic rat-tat-tat noise effects. Shoots light, soft rubber-tipped wooden bullets. Rubber-tipped wooden bullets. That sounds like something the police would use. Turns... That sounds like they could hurt. turns on swivel to all angles. Lifts off tripod, can be carried easily, absolutely harmless. They tell you it's harmless, so it's okay. Try your toy store or send check or money order to E. Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Oh, okay. So you can just get an envelope and that's the name of the company. They don't even give you a street address. They just say send the 650 to that. I guess back then, I don't know how big Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, but I guess the mailmen there know there's only one Trumatic toy company that makes those guns that mow people down. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. I'm a big fan of Archie comics, but when I do videos about Archie comics, that looks a lot like the bike back behind me. When I do videos on Archie comics, nobody watches. A few people watch them, but I'm going to keep doing them because I do whatever I feel like here on this channel. Sometimes people watch, sometimes people don't. I did a room tour yesterday, and it caused me to lose one subscriber. I don't know. Can't trust those liberals. And in the spirit of inclusion and diversity, here's another comic. Sorry, fixing something. A little bit of a boo-boo at the top, ladies and gentlemen. It's Geronimo, Indian fighter. Someone wrote with a grease pencil. This must have shown up on August 18th, so they wrote it on the front cover. Geronimo, Indian fighter. The massacre at San Pedro Pass. Why is Geronimo an Indian fighter? Oh, he's not fighting Indians, he's an Indian who fights. So therefore, Geronimo, Indian fighter, or maybe it should be Indian warrior, because Indian fighter sounds like someone that fights Indians. That wouldn't make any sense. It's easy to win her. We figure if you're reading Geronimo, you're not having good luck with girls. It's easy to win her when you know how to get along with girls. Maybe stop reading comic books, first of all. Read for yourself. How to date a girl, how to interest her in you, how to win her love, how to make up with her, how to express your love, how to have personality, how to look your best, how not to offend. I would love this book, man. How to be well-mannered, how to overcome inferiority, how to hold her love, how to show her a good time. Women are funny. You never know whether you're making the right move or not. Avoid disappointment, heartbreak. Save yourself lots of tragedy. Don't be a faux pas. Read How to Get Along with Girls and discover for yourself the ABC and XYZ of successful strategy. Put psychology to work. No more clumsy mistakes for you. Get the real McCoy on how to deal with women in this amazing handbook. Send no money. Free 5 days examination of this book is offered to you if you send the coupon today. I will ship you your copy by return mail in plain wrapper. If not delighted with the results after reading the book, return it in 5 days and your money will be refunded. This is Stravon Publishers. They're on West 57th Street, New York, New York. 99 cents and all your problems will be solved. Look at this book. Those were the days there was lots of reading to be done. There's a little more action on this page. How are you guys doing today? It's a wonderful... What the heck is it? It's Tuesday. Yesterday was Labor Day. Isn't that wonderful? So, that's great. I can show these books tomorrow in the 4-color fossils because nobody watches this show and they won't even know that I'm doing it. A little bit of like moisture transfer, it looks like.
The states that they actually quote in the
There's no ripples in the pages, but apparently at some point, being down in the dungeon below the Hotel Orloff, this must have gotten some moisture. When is it from? In the front, it doesn't tell you. It's issue number 1, so it's a key issue. I would guess it's from about, I'm going to guess 19. It's Avon. Something's telling me 51, and something's telling me 49. I'm going to guess 1949. I've got this hunch. And I'm going to say it's, yeah, it looks like it got a little something down here. I'm going to say, no, I'm going to say September of 1949. Let's take a look. Oh, look. Hi-yo! Lone Ranger's, what is it? Silver bullet ballpoint pin set with cowboy's belt. If you get one of these, you'll definitely be a hit with the opposite sex. Let's see what it says here. Avon Publisher Periodicals, 1950. I was wrong. What did I say? September 1950? It's not even giving me a month, man. Publisher Saul Cohen. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I was off by a year. Maybe only a few months if this was early 1950. All right. Oh, wow. Another... it's not the Lone Ranger. It's his cousin, the Lone Rider. Man, these books from this time period, ladies and gentlemen, these ads, look at that. Now fly your own jet rocket. Own jet and rocket fleet. Now, you know these are made out of balsa wood, but still going to be fun. Wee gang, watch them zoom, climb, bank, dive, and loop up to 200 feet. The guns at the top are a nice touch. Oh, they have this Western Indian motif going around the ad. This is a Farrell publication. Nice white pages. Glittering guns. See, the Lone Ranger, and some of the early Lone Ranger publications, I mean, Lone Ranger was a radio show originally, before it was a TV show, and before it was movie serials. And he was described as a masked man. And so, in some early depictions of the Lone Ranger from the 30s and 40s, they show him with a mask at this part of his face, like that. But it was solidified as a mask here over the eyes in, the TV show that started in the late 40s and then through the 50s with Clayton Moore. But beautiful artwork in this. The Lone Rider. I'm going to guess this is from 1950, and I'm going to guess February 1950.
So now they're going after Clarence Thomas, they're going after Samuel Alito. So this is all a push.
Oh, I'm completely wrong. It's October.
But what they really want to do
What is that?
They want to get Thomas and Alito off
October 51.
before Biden's finished, and they want a super
Why do people keep criticizing Joe Biden? He seems like such a great president.
hyper-speed nomination of liberal justices before 2024. That's what they're trying to do. Now, it doesn't look like
Oh my gosh.
so what are the Democrats going to do?
A little bit different time period, more recent comic.
Be able to remove
The X-Men.
Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito
X-Men was having a little trouble at this point selling.
because the time is over.
They later brought Neil Adams in, and the sales went up, but they didn't know it.
Definitely before
Um,
if they get the White House.
there were
That's what these tyrants are
the comic books would go to distributors, then they'd go to the newsstand. So in the late 60s, 68 through the early 70s, there started to be ads. Let's see if this has any ads in it like that. Yeah, see these ads offering you comic books? You know, they could get you back issues, especially if you lived in some place in the middle of nowhere. You know, you had no place to buy old comics. You could get old comics from these. So where were they getting their comics? There were books that were super hot and people were speculating on. Even back then, they were speculating. And it was stuff with Neil Adams, Bernie Wrightson, and Jack Kirby. So those early New Gods comics, when Conan the Barbarian started, hardly anyone could get Conan the Barbarian #2 because it just wasn't on the stands. People recognized Barry Smith as this great new artist and Swamp Thing. And all these comics were big hits. Green Lantern, Green Arrow with the Neil Adams art. Big, huge hits. They were, but the problem is a lot of them weren't getting to the newsstand. These people, these comic dealers that, and there weren't many comic stores in the early 70s. There were a few scattered around the country. But they would go to the distributor and they'd get big bundles of comics and walk out the back door with them. They'd buy them from them. And then if they got a whole bunch of Conan the Barbarian #2s, you don't find Conan the Barbarian #2 on your newsstand. And you're like, where is it? I guess I'll have to order it from these ads here because they bought them all. And then the publishers, DC and Marvel and whatever, you know, that was mainly who they were speculating with on. They would they'd get these miserable sales figures for books that were people were loving, like New Gods and Conan the Barbarian. It almost got canceled after the 6th issue because there were not much sales because they were all being sold out the back door of the distributor and being sold through these ads and wherever else. So Roy Thomas had to beg and plead for Conan the Barbarian to keep going. Conan the Barbarian #2, you know, they said it was scarce. No, it was just they all went out the back door. That even happened in 1976 with Howard the Duck, the first issue of Howard the Duck. They said it had limited distribution. It's not that it was printed in lesser numbers. It's that they didn't have. They didn't get to the stores. You know, I never saw Howard the Duck #1. I was looking for it there at the PX. Okay, so this is probably, I'm guessing 1968, 67. Let's take a look. I'll say September 67. Am I right? No, it was 68. I should have said 68. Never second guess yourself. September 68. Did I say September? I don't think I did. Anyway, the X-Men wasn't selling well, but then they brought in Neil Adams and it started selling well, but they didn't know it was selling well. This is an X-Men comic I don't have, so I'm happy to add it to my collection courtesy of whatever person had piles of comics down in the dungeon catacombs below the Hotel Orloff, ladies and gentlemen. X-Men number 48. Yes. The speculators were speculating on I think they were speculating on New Gods and they weren't speculating on Jimmy Olsen, which Kirby was doing. Anyway, there's certain issues they were. So, how about that? I got this information from Bob Beerbaum, who was he has these essays on Facebook where he tells you about comic book history, and he knows because he was one of these guys back then, operating a comic store, one of the first comic stores in San Francisco, and he has a lot of great. This is in very nice shape. This feels brand new. It's an issue of Jimmy Olsen, number 136. Looks like Jimmy Olsen has turned into a Hulk kind of guy, or Jolly Green Giant kind of guy. Look at how nice this is. Yes, indeed. Oh, this is one of the Kirby issues. But they weren't speculating on this. This has these big 2-page spreads. So, you know, Kirby, it looked like Kirby was being completely unsuccessful over at DC. And in reality, his stuff was selling. It just... Oh, he even does one of his photo collages like he used to do in the Fantastic Four. He's pulling out all the stops. Well, Thursday night, Trump is going to be at Mount Rushmore. I don't know if it's a rally or a speech or what's going on. I want to look at this more. Oh, okay. I guess there's Woodstock memorabilia. So this is probably from, imagine, 1970. I would say February 1970. Am I correct? No, I'm wrong. March of 71. I'm not doing good today. Some days I do really good with my guessing game. By the way, have you liked this video? Nobody put any... video before last, I was looking at magazines. No one seemed to like that. No comments on the bottom part. I don't think anyone even watched it. Okay, that was Jimmy Olsen, 136. Here's a little bit later in the 20-cent era. That was a 15-cent era. This is Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, number 160. Let's take a look at this. They think I won't even talk about that. I am starving. How are you guys doing? What are you guys going to eat for dinner tonight? It's The Secret of Harpy Castle. At this time period, you know, that comics code that came along in 1955 and got rid of a lot of horror comics, well, they relaxed the standards on the code right around 1970, somewhere in there. And all of a sudden, there were monsters in all the comics, and this is not an exception. So this is, okay. I'd say this is going to be 70. Look at this. This is going to be early 1973. Let's say February 73. October 73. It's late 73. I am incorrect, ladies and gentlemen. See, bikes just look better in the 50s than they did in the 70s. Just everything was better. Oh, this is great. It's got wonderful Kurt Schaffenberger art. The day Bill told off his boss, "Come in here, Bill, I got a word to say for you." What do I say to you? What are you always showing up late? And it's like, well, stuff it, man. You can shove this job up your... Yeah, I've got a new job in electronic repair. Transistors. Oh, look at Jimmy Olsen there. Well, James Gunn, everyone's just, a lot of people are just really mad at him because he is starting the DC movies over And they just said, why can't you keep using Henry Cavill? And so anyway, they dug up some old thing he said on Facebook years ago, and he's deleted the Facebook account now because he said he didn't like the Michael Keaton Batman movies, and he didn't like the ones with the American Psycho playing Batman, Christian Bale. And, you know, people are outraged. How dare he say that? One of the things they're saying is he criticized the Batman soundtrack, the one from 1989. He's not criticizing. If you were there in 1989, I remember the first soundtrack they put out, before they put out the symphonic score from Danny Elfman, which was great. And I'm sure James Gunn, here I am defending James Gunn, I'm sure he acknowledges that's great music. The problem was the Prince music. That was outrageously bad, and it was just put in there because Warner Brothers, I don't think Prince's music was selling well, and they wanted to revive his flagging career because they knew everything associated with Batman. It was just a huge phenomenon. This anyway, whatever. Who cares? And he criticized the voice of Michael Keaton as Batman, which was, yeah, it's like they want. This is another fake comic. It's a replica, a facsimile, a fraud. But you'd never be able to afford this comic unless you're some super wealthy person. So it's just a replica of a single comic, and these are available. It's the same company, PS Art Books, that put out that Captain Marvel Jr. I showed you a little bit ago. I can make you commando tough. And it's this one, the reproduction in this is better than in the Captain Marvel Jr. They must have had a better, source to photograph. I just think it's great that you can actually read this comic, a comic that is probably worth thousands, not anything any normal human can afford. And anyway, it's nice. So this is a very recent thing. I don't know why this is down in the dungeon underneath the house, man, in the catacombs. You know the origin of the word grotesque? Have I told you that before? Nero had a palace. Nero was a twisted, horrible person, but he had all these paintings, murals all over his palace that were hideously horrible. And so he, anyway, burned Rome and all of that. Anyway, at some point, they used what was remainder of his palace, and they built on top of it, and it was underground, and it was forgotten about, kind of like the catacombs I discovered under the Hotel Orloff. So anyway, people were living there. They didn't know under the street was the remains of Nero's palace, right? So at some point, something collapsed in the middle of the street, and people looked in through the hole with torches, because this is like in the 1600s or something like that. And they saw these horrible faces on the wall, like Medusa and just horrible goblin-like monsters. Probably looked like a lot like people that vote for Joe Biden on the wall, right? Horrible. And so artists came from all around, Michelangelo or whoever was alive back then, and looked, down, and they lowered themselves on ropes like Indiana Jones and looked around at all this stuff. And it was a grotto. It was so the word grotesque comes from grotto-esque. Grotesque, from which we also have the word gross, goes back to that when they were just when something was really horrifying and twisted looking and satanic, like this AI art you see all over the place, where people have 7 fingers and everything's horribly twisted and clearly demonic. Clearly demons are acting through these computer systems. And you think I'm kidding, but I don't think so. Some of that AI looks very evil. But so they would say, "Oh, this is like this is so twisted. It reminds me of Nero's paintings down in the. It's grotto-esque, meaning like. It's like the grotto of Nero. So that's where grotesque comes from. So it's not amazing. Here's some. Everybody's been talking about Conan the Barbarian lately because of this new Conan comic that's all the rage coming from. Think Titan Comics. It's made to look like the old Marvel Conan comic. And here's some issues of the Marvel Conan comic that I found in the grotto below the Grotu Orloff Hotel. Ooh, this one's got some water damage from being down in the dungeon. This is issue 110. If I had a friend that had a flattening iron press, I think they call it pressing comics, I could probably fix this. Oh, look at this. That would have been a great team. You imagine if they were teamed together, Dracula, Hulk, Moon Knight, Conan, and Howard the Duck. Someone could have made a lot of money on that. Sure could. I have every issue of Howard the Duck, I'll have you know. Here's one of those subscription ads. Marvel Comics are too good to miss. Now, John Buscema is the artist that they're trying to make the art. They're trying to make the art look like his art in this new Conan book that's out. This has Ernie Chan as the inker, and he was great on his own. So this is gonna be fantastic. And this is an issue of Conan I don't have. I'm starving, man. What are you guys gonna eat for dinner? Look, Thor advertising Hostess Twinkies. Oh, this is when Marvel tried to do their own heavy metal. Epic Illustrated. Yes, indeed. Oh, yeah, this is when, this is Joe Kubert. The students at Joe Kubert's art school did this ad for Heroes World. Yeah, you can see the Joe Kubert influence. Is it Kubert or Kubert? Kubert. Kubert's the little little video game guy. Joe Kubert. Yeah, I don't know. I say it both ways. Potato, potato, tomato, tomato. Khazar. I think it's Khazar. I think it comes from the Khazarians that lived in what's now Ukraine, right? The Khazarians. I think that's where that comes from. Who knows? Who cares? Here's Conan 117. Now they were nice in this one because normally on these Conan covers there's a girl that's terrified and is shrieking and absolutely horrified at whatever monster Conan's fighting. But they were nice enough to blindfold her so she can't see this Cthulhu-looking creature that Conan is slaying. You ever eat Whopper? I mean, obviously Whoppers at Burger King, right? But not Whopper Chuck. You ever eat that garbage? Look at this. Horribly crude video games. Video games, of course, would be what would replace comic books, and that's why kids don't read comics anymore. It's because they just play video games. So when you see these ads for the video games, you know, okay, this is probably early. It's 50 cents. It's got the date there. I'm thinking it's trying to remember, because once it got to be the 80s, I didn't care as much. The stuff from the 60s and 70s, of course the 50s, but I never saw 50s comic books growing up. In the 70s, are you kidding me? I'm guessing this is from February of 1980. It's December 1980. I'm on the wrong side of the year. I'm at the end of the year. But it's a fun game. You should do this on your shows. You should guess the year of the comic. It's the new cool happening fad, man. I hear that Billy Boy, Gates, I don't know if you're allowed to say his name on the internet, the guy that invented the PC, I hear he had a helicopter. I heard Salty Cracker talking about he was releasing a bunch of his genetically modified mosquitoes from a helicopter. Look at that. New Space Ghost cartoons and new Herculoids cartoons came out about that time.
When do they release? What are they going to be releasing next? That's a legitimate concern. Am I afraid of getting COVID and dying? No.
What else we got here? Well, it's another Conan, number 121. That was 117, so this is... I was buying Conan very faithfully all through from the mid-70s through for about 5 or 6 years. I was buying it every month. I think maybe at this point I wasn't buying it as much, so these are good. I can add these to my collection. Oh, there's Mile High Comics up in Colorado. I forget where I'm living. Now I can say down in Colorado, I think, or I don't even know where I'm at anymore. I used to, when I lived in Texas, I could say, oh, it's up in Colorado, but now it might be down or it might be over that way. I don't know. It seems like in this era, in the 1980s, there weren't as many words in the comic, and it wasn't as much fun as it was in the 70s. It's Frankenstein Dracula. It just was a better time in the 70s. Maybe because that's when I was a little kid. And by the time this is coming out, and this is issue 121 in April 81. Yeah. I had so much homework as in high school. I don't know. Well, that's the handful of books I grabbed out of the fetid, foul-smelling dungeons, the catacombs that I discovered below the Hotel Orloff. What are these books here? I don't even know what this stuff is. This is some other stuff that was just on top of the pinball machine. I thought I'd show you if I had some extra time. You know, whenever I point there are two cameras on my iPhone. One points away and one points towards you, right? So I'm filming pointing it towards me. But yesterday I filmed a show where I'm pointing, the other way. And it seems like when you point the other way, it uses up more memory on the phone because the show didn't even let me go an hour. And now I'm already up to an hour and 10 minutes. Oh, what the heck? This is interesting. Okay, it's Halloween Horror from Eclipse Comics. But what's cool is if you look inside, it's reprints from the pre-code horror comics. So that's fantastic. Let's see, it's nursery rhymes with blood. This is the kind of thing that would get Dr. Frederick Wortham all upset. Speaking of, I want to find my copy of his book. It's around here somewhere. Oh, look, it's Dick Briefer's Frankenstein. Oh, this is a great book. I'm glad I found that. This is a comic-sized magazine called Model Scene, when all these garage kits were all the rage. There's Dark Horse's Dracula. You remember this when all these model kits were coming out? The Chiller Theater Toy Model and Film Expo, 1994. There's a Vampirella kit based on an illustration of her in one of the early Vampirellas. Here's another, that was issue 4, here's issue 5. See, they had whole conventions that were Model Fest. It was like a big deal. There was Ray Harryhausen was a guest there. And someone made a model kit of the Crypt Keeper, or the TV version of the Crypt Keeper. Crypt Keeper in the EC Comics was not a corpse. It was just a horrible looking old guy. Oh, there's Martina Beswick, still looking good in 1994. Is she still around, or did she pass away? Yes. Stop talking about cake. You're making me hungry, man. How dare you? Let's see. What else we got here? Man-Eating Cow, number 8. This is a spinoff from The Tick. Oh, this is one of these comics that's sideways. And by that I mean that you read it sideways. This is it was Daredevil originally in the Golden Age, but since there was already someone had started a new Daredevil with Marvel in the 60s, so when they reprinted these old Golden Age stories, they called him Red Devil. So this has a new story in the front that's newly drawn and an older story in the back. Oh boy, am I hungry. Oh, here's a Hellboy, issue 1 of a 3-issue miniseries. But look, it's Richard Corbin art. Richard Corbin, one of my favorite artists of all time. This is the world's worst comics. What was his name? Michael Medved. He was a film critic back in the 80s, and he put out a book with, I think, his brother or something called Golden Turkey Awards, where he talked about movies that were so bad they're good. I think he was the one that coined that phrase, stuff like Plan 9 from Outer Space and all that. And so that became the rage, as to things that are so bad that they're great, they're entertaining. And so they've got like this surrogate Siskel and Ebert looking people, and they're making fun of these. That's a wonderful comic. I have that comic. I guess they're talking about it being sexist, that she can't rescue Batman and Robin because she has a run in her stockings. But yeah, what are they making fun of? All the stuff I love is probably what they're making fun of. Yeah, like old ads like that, they're laughing at them. I mean, I do the same thing here on this show, but I have respect and reverence for them. What are they saying about Our Man? You better not be making fun of Our Man, man.
all the way to bring down the New World Order with tomorrow's news today. So go to Jones, Crowder,
World's Worst Comics.
Patriots, the first to sign up for like $7 a month to build this.
Oh, look, they're being real funny calling it Pop Art Productions. Well, tomorrow night, make sure you, I need to start, need to get a thumbnail up for tomorrow's 4-Color Fossil show. Look at this. Oh, here's the second issue of that. Oh, look, they're making fun of Chilling Tales of Sorcery with Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which was an Archie comic in the early 70s where it really did go pretty far. Yeah, they're making fun of stuff like Tony Tallarico's Frankenstein. I mean, dare they? I guess they're making fun of when Wonder Woman lost her powers. Oh yeah, this is here they are talking. Those are panels from Chilling Adventures. Was it Chilling Adventures in Sorcery? What was it called? Yeah, Chilling Adventures in Sorcery, as told by Sabrina. I bought that when I was in 2nd grade, and it's all done in the Archie house style, but it's yeah, there's like the satanic teacher and this Vic. He turns into a corpse. Oh well, I don't need these snarky people telling me what comic books are funny. I can discover them on my own. What is this book? What is this?
So this is from the Capitol, James Comer, digging
Oh, it's some 1990s thing.
so the protection racket around the Biden
When were these wrestlers popular?
Department of Justice.
Oh, there's Stone Cold Steve Austin. This is probably from the 90s, huh?
We all ever get an
Oh, is that The Rock there? I guess this is from the mid-90s. It's this book, Reload. Oh, 2003. Okay, I guess this is more recent than I thought. This is, yeah. I don't know how this came into my collection. It must have been in a 50-cent bin. Looks like a, kind of a Black Widow type character. I've been getting these like every day in the mail. Biden and Democrats will win if Trump is the nominee. His drama and chaos will make Republicans lose again. The White House, the Senate, the House. Don't give Biden what he wants. We need a new leader. Yeah, like who? Make Republicans lose again. Yeah, I get one of these every day, different flyer saying the same basic thing. They're really scared about Trump because everything they've done to Trump, they know if he gets back in, oh brother, are they toast. Well, let's take these books upstairs, shall we? And pretty soon, this will be the end of this episode because I can't imagine we'll go much longer than an hour and 18 minutes and 36 seconds. Here's Drew the dog sleeping. How are you doing, Drew? Oh, I'm waking her up. What am I doing? Oh, and this is, I showed this to you before. Look at this.
And I can tell you, and I can provide this in my testimony, but like, there's things that are contained on that document that could further corroborate other information that we might be having an issue corroborating because it could be regarding.
All right.
So if we have information regarding that in a document,
So,
we can further corroborate.
man.
That's something that we have. We can turn that over.
So, how hungry are you? What are you going to eat for dinner?
So let me just try to review here.
Well, it's a good thing I found these old comics in the dungeon. I guess you're wanting me to show you the hallways down below. Whoop. I should do that. because you might think it's just a hoax, like a War of the Worlds style hoax. Yes, indeed. Oh, while we're up here, maybe I can show you some more stuff. Let's turn on the light. Look at this fanzine. The Barsoomian. And for those of you that don't know, Edgar Rice Burroughs and the Edgar Rice Burroughs Barsoom books. Barsoom is the name that the natives have for Mars. And this is one of those mimeographed fanzines. And it's let's see, when is this from? I think it's from 1968 or something. I can't remember. And look what I just found going through the magazine boxes. This issue of Scream. From Skywald Horror. It's a Skywald Horror Mood publication. This was obviously very much an attempt to do a Warren-style magazine. There's other magazines you can get: Scream, Nightmare, Hellrider, Psycho, the archaic back issues vault of horror mood masterworks. Now, see, they did this Frankenstein monster thing, and they really used the Universal Monsters style look, which is leaves you kind of vulnerable to a Universal lawsuit. Yeah, I think he looks a little bit too much like the Universal Frankenstein. Oh well. Incredible, huh? How about that? Yeah, how about that? All right. Oh, well, we could continue with the room tour because this seems like this episode will never end. What would you like to see? The decorations here in the comic book room. Oh, there's some more Spook Show posters up here that I didn't show you yesterday. Let's get the light on. It's Dr. Dracula's Living Nightmares. Where are some more? I think there's one in here. Oh, I gotta get the. I've been sorting magazines. This is what it looks like. This is the part I don't show you. But I'll have these all up. I meant to do it today. This is a living room that I don't have furniture yet for. So if you're getting rid of some old cool looking couches, let me know. Oh, there's no light here. You can't really see that. But that's a really good one that I need to put in a better spot, actually. Maybe there's some books here that you'd like to see. Oh, come on. Oh, this is a cool book. Probably long out of print. A collection of classic instruction sheets from Aurora model kits. It reprints